Hey, what's up everybody? Welcome back to another PGR reaction. Today we have Flame of Hope, as requested by a couple of people, but mainly Ferox again in the comment section for this one, getting the most upvotes on his comment, saying that this is a more traditionally beautiful track, which kind of intrigues me in its own right, so that means I have to listen to it, right? So I guess, without further ado, let's go! Ooh. Very intense right off the bat. Tony Yen. Why do I recognize that name? Maybe I've heard work from them before. Definitely taking its time. That's why it was taking its time. You gotta build things up correctly if you're gonna be doing epic soundtracks, right? Every passage adding another instrument, a whole other section of this orchestra. The very traditional, safe way of making a build-up in this sound. You won't find me complaining. My biggest question with songs like this is, how much are they gonna build up, you know? Ooh. 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 Oh. Oh, so we're like doing multiple different songs like through this. Okay. I was wondering what the music thing was on the side over there. I was like, this isn't one song, I guess. Apparently. It's a whole movement. Even better. Ooh. That was a good separation there. One went up, one went down. This whole song is doing that, actually. Showing a separation, maybe? It's that sort of thing that would signify a distance being created by maybe two people. So now that I know this is like a story, I'm gonna get to piece everything together as we go. My favorite kind. Ooh. Those half steps in there, adding some very serious tension. Go ahead. Arpeggiate the entirety of that scale. Ooh, okay. I know we got more. There's the intensity. A different composer now, though. You gotta have the organ if you're going for that serious, spooky, dark tone. It's like a requirement. Latin chorus as well. Gotta have the Latin choral vocals. So I'm getting a definitely a clear story. This character's been going through a lot. But also, I want to see where it ends. Because I know we gotta have another song after this, right? Maybe it does end here, but I don't know. I can't remember how long this is. Ooh, that was it. Ooh. Okay, so it doesn't really resolve either. Well, I guess that kind of answers that question for me, doesn't it? So this one, like I said, tells a story through all the movements in this song. It is kind of interesting that there's two composers involved in this, with the last one being a completely different composer from the first two songs. But I guess that's just how they decided to structure this project specifically, and that's perfectly fine, especially when the composers know how to build off each other's works and make them kind of work together in their own singular way. And I'm going to refer to each part as part 1, 2, and 3, just to keep things simple for myself so I don't have to keep recalling what the names are of each portion. But in general, this is a very interesting one through every single one of the movements. Like, it starts out intense. It doesn't start soft and like calming and build into its menacing, tensious attitude. It starts there. It starts with this heavy kind of vibe that makes you go, oh, things are already intense for this character. Or maybe the character's represented in that tension as well. That could be a character that's, by what I saw at least in the art, she seems pretty intense, like very cold, calculating, just the type of person that isn't really worried about subjectivity so much as the objective truth of what they're fighting for, and facts are logic and that's it. It seems very cold and dry in that way, and the music kind of also supports that because it starts immediately so intense and already putting all that pressure on you as a listener that you're like, oh, well, okay, then we're already here. I already have a good idea of what this character is about and what their goals are and what their personality is like. And then as it goes up, it kind of hits some very heavy notes on the piano. Like, literally, the pianist is just laying into those notes, really making sure that the emotion of those hits are felt as it transitions into the next part. And then it's a little bit more, like, I would say a little darker, a little bit more sad even. There's more of an emotional toll here. It feels like maybe this is the part in the character's story where, like, maybe they lost somebody they loved, or maybe they lost an entire facility or an entire, I don't know, a city maybe. I don't know the story of PGR well enough to know exactly what's going on. A lot of the games I talk about have different settings as far as that goes, but it feels like there is a sense of loss there and a sense of maybe regret and grief in there. But again, it's not really diving too deep into the emotional toll of that, and it still stays overall pretty high energy and generally intense. Like, you don't feel overwhelmed by sadness. There isn't a huge, like, prophetic loss, like something that they knew was going to happen that they could have avoided, but it's just, that's how the world works. Like, that didn't happen here. This is more of a, like, hey, that's the spoils of war. Here we are, we're still going, and that's just the way that's the way the cookie crumbles, essentially, and now we just need to move on from this, learn from it, and continue our road to true justice, maybe. Like, that's the vibe I'm getting out of the third part, which is pretty much entirely, like, The Judgment Day, which I think was actually the name of that song. I can't remember now, but it feels very apt. Like, that song feels so intense. That's really, truly the character in my mind, coming to full terms with who they are, what their goals are, or maybe just fulfilling that overall goal, their character arc, essentially, and creating this truth in their life, like putting everything they have into making that happen. And it's so very intense, but there's also no payoff to the end of that third part, like I mentioned. So you're not hearing this resolution anywhere, though you are kind of expecting to hear one. You want there to be a resolution in music. It's just the way that our brains are pretty much wired to expect music, is to have a resolve chord at the end. end where we're like, oh, that's the end of it. And this one just builds up and it just stays there. It doesn't go anywhere else. It just stays up. And then it's like, well, where are we now? Like, that's an indicator that the story's not over yet and this character is still going through whatever they're going through. And that makes a lot of sense for a story that I assume is ongoing. Like, this character probably isn't dead or gone, but that just makes me wonder more where they're going to go. Where is their story going to resolve? And we don't have that answer yet, so the song cannot resolve because there isn't one yet. And I like that they actually put that in there instead of just resolving it because it's what you want. Having a song that just lifts into nothing and makes you want more is a very intense feeling to have, if not the most intense way to end a song, which matches with the rest of it being so intense that you're like, when are we going to be happy here? Because I never really felt happiness in this song at all. It was just slight disappointment and the pride of battle. Like, that's pretty much all I got out of this one. There was no like happy moment of, yeah, we did it, we're gonna keep doing it, go team. It wasn't any of that. There was no like pure profound sadness, like I mentioned, a little bit of disappointment in themselves maybe, but nothing that they were like, oh no, I'm devastated, I'll never financially or emotionally recover from this. It was just an entire song full of the theme of I am not done yet, and what I have set out to do has no end as far as I am personally aware. And maybe that's why we didn't get a resolution at the end. Maybe the character themselves is very aware that there is no end to war, and therefore that's what the song is representing. This is a really, really, really well done way to showcase that, if that is the case. Like, just to have a song go through all those thoughts and get that out of somebody who doesn't know the character like myself. And it's beautiful. It's every single movement has its own individual personality and its own individual sound, but they all stitch together so well. I cannot get over that. And being able to tell that cohesive story all the way through, especially with two different composers, just a whole different category of skill on that front from both of them. So fantastic work to both of the composers on this one, and just an amazing job overall for all three of these passages. Just an amazing work. But I do think I have yapped enough, so thank you all so very much for watching. If you have any other songs you want me to get to from PGR, by all means, leave them down in the comments below, and I will do my best to get to them as always. And of course, if you enjoyed this video and you want to follow me for other stuff I have in the future, you know how to do all that, and I will see you all in the next video. Goodbye!